who can't go into churches without vomiting.
How are you feeling?
Well,
how long have you been here? Roger. You see what I do? What idea was it that you come here? How could you be here in the hospital? Did he tell you why?
No, the psychiatrist did not.
Has anybody told you why?
No.
Have you any idea why?
Yes.
And what is that?
I am not completely like other people.
What do you mean by that?
People dislike me because I am not completely like them.
And in what way are you different?
How real is Devil?
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to a special show.
Here we are.
Yeah, we are.
Here we are. And,
Everyone.
normally, obviously we don't broadcast this time of the year, not until September. And, before we get into things, I just want to say congratulations to Alex.
Thank you.
On your new addition, your first addition to the family there, your daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Born a healthy 10 pounds, 3 ounces.
Oh.
Yeah. So when I say what's new, Alex, you can't say nothing.
That's right. I can't say that anymore.
No. Well, you can, but not today.
Yeah, not today, no.
But, we're here for a special reason, obviously. And that's because of, a really good friend of ours. Obviously, there are a lot of people out there that have known Gareth longer, yourself, Ben, than myself and Alex and Justin. But, I just want to say it's been very, very tough over the past few days, learning of his passing. It's just absolutely horrible, and it's going to take some time. Obviously, it's still fresh, very fresh, in the minds of many, and it just, Ben, I can't believe the amount of people that have come out of I don't want to say woodwork, but that have reacted to this news.
Yeah.
Did you even yourself realize this many people?
I didn't realize quite met so many. I mean, I knew Gareth had been doing podcasting from he was actually part of the original early internet podcasting community, because he started doing podcasting like in the early 2000s, really, when the World Wide Web was just still quite new compared to what it is now. And a lot of those people I never knew, I've seen paying tribute to Gareth. It's been a bit of a reunion, actually, as a result of this, with the Mindset team, including people like Venerina Conti, who I haven't broadcast with for many years, who I came into the Mindset Central just shortly before she left. And it's sad that it takes this to sort of bring us all back together again, but it has done that. And I feel quite lost, actually, at the moment. Unfortunately, I'm not one of these people who can. I think I'd probably feel better if I just broke down and cried my eyes out or something like that. I mean, I know some people can do that. I can't. So I've got this thing inside me right now. This sort of like this horrible poisonous sort of burning thing inside me, and I can't get it out.
Yeah.
And that's losing Gareth like that so suddenly. Literally, I was speaking to him just over 2 weeks ago. I did a show with him.
Yeah.
Less than 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
And let's for those of you who don't know. I mean, obviously, a lot of people who are listening probably know, but Ben, you're regular on Mindset, right? You've how long have you known Gareth, and how long have you been a guest on his show?
I've known Gareth since 2013 when I actually joined Mindset Podcast. It was Reeves, actually, who told Gareth about me, and he introduced me to him, and he said, "Oh, do you want to come on the show?" And so I came on just for one show, and then I kind of stayed around. I really sort of got on really well with everyone, and I really enjoyed doing it. In the end, I mean, I was lucky, I think, because I I think I did more shows than anyone actually with Gareth, because I tended to be available for the shows more often than other people. I was free at the time when Gareth records, which amazingly his dedication is incredible. He doesn't know what a Sunday lie-in is, because he'd be up 6 a.m. We started recording on Sunday morning, his time, and this was 2 p.m. where I live, so it was more civilized for me. It was quite convenient for me, and sort of for a lesser extent, Joe Dunn, sort of 9 a.m. where he is, and it's become part of my life, and I can't quite imagine, because I tend to work on Sundays. I work most days actually, not all day every day, but I do work pretty much every day of the week. Just coming home from work and thinking on a Sunday and saying, right, mindset today. Gareth he'd always inbox me and say, you're coming on the show this Sunday, and if I was available, I'd always do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's become part of my routine. And
what was your favorite? What did you like talking about with him on Mindset? What was your favorite thing?
Oh, we covered so much,
Yeah. So
Gareth
one thing in particular, or a couple things in particular that you enjoyed?
What stands out? I wish I could have prepared something to sort of bring up that I would say would stand out. I think it was probably we discussed what the strange thing that happened actually on one of his shows. I think that's something I remember very well. He was actually doing Power Talk with Reeves Cook, the guy who introduced me to Gareth. Mm-hmm. And this strange noise appears on the soundtrack, and it sounds like a voice. I think it's kind of EVP. And we went over this many times. We talked about it, tried to work out where it came from and what it was. It's quite alarming, actually. It's a growling voice. It doesn't actually utter any distinct words, but you can hear several syllables or that kind of voice. Not like a human voice, but it's almost like a frog, I think, or a toad or something. And we spent quite a long time going through that, trying to work out where it came from.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
We worked out it wasn't Reeves. We thought it might have been Reeves. But I said, if Reeves made a noise like that, I said, Gareth, I'd throw holy water at him. And that's something that does stand out in my mind. I remember that well.
It's funny because I can't really remember how Gareth and I met. I think it was something to do with the Highgate Vampire.
That's possible.
I think it was in the early. I remember reading something. I can't remember, and something led me to Mindset, and reaching out to him, and we had this long conversation about a lot of things, especially the Highgate Vampire, and I know somebody who's linked to that obviously is in chat there. I think Dela. Hey Dela, how are you? Who was wanting to be with us, and we have a little bit of audio that we're going to play that Dela provided for us. A few words on Gareth. We'll play that in a bit, but it's just amazing how quickly we sort of just clicked on so many things. I mean, we didn't agree on everything. I mean, that's the way things are. But I mean, that doesn't matter. I think we have to disagree to agree with a lot of things. I think that's healthy. And the one thing that I enjoyed the most about Gareth was, the fact that he was always thinking outside the box. Mm-hmm. He wasn't willing to stay inside that safety net. And it drives me nuts when people, can't leave that. Yeah. And it doesn't mean that everything that's outside that box is true. That's not what I'm saying. But that's, he left it up to you. Mm-hmm. To either believe it or to try to understand it or to, pursue it or whatever. I mean, I don't know how many times he's been on this show and we've disagreed. I know, Alex, we've disagreed with a lot of things.
Of course. But I mean, the good thing about Gareth also is that regardless of whether you disagreed with him on certain topics, it didn't deteriorate the friendship that we developed. I
No,
mean,
absolutely
it was
not.
as a friendship, and Gareth was the type of person that, your personal beliefs are one thing, your friendship's another. I mean, he understood that friends don't always, see eye to eye
Yeah.
on a lot of things, and he left it at that. I mean, at the end of the day, once the conversation was over, it was back to being, hey, it's just a bunch of pals just getting around and shooting the shit,
And I think we created a monster when we introduced Gareth to Justin.
Yes, we did. Yes, indeed we did.
Oh, okay.
But it was a good thing. It was a good thing.
Yeah. I never even heard of Mindset nor knew about Gareth and even the community around it. Little did I know, like every other person that I've been involved with in the paranormal field, either has been on the Mindset or knows or has been part of the pages in some form or another. And I think wasn't I just listening one night a few years ago, a handful of years ago, and Gareth was on, and I was just commenting, and in the comments, I was just listening, and I said some stuff, and Garrett's like, yeah, he's like, those are some good points. And next, you know what, we were on, I think it wasn't exactly the exact next show, but we were on the following show from there, and then Gareth and I just clicked. It's just one of those things. Of course, a lot of stuff that I say kind of comes from a whole different spot in the field, but I think that's what made Garrett click with me, was because I was kind of saying something different, and he was being different in how he presented things as well. And just from then on, years later, here we are, actually. Again, very, very different perspectives. I think Gareth and I had different perspectives on UFO stuff, but when it came to paranormal and what was going on with there, we were pretty much right on. Especially even our political views. I think we were both very centrist, so a lot of times Gareth and I kind of agreed on some points. But of course, there was things he's called me out. He's actually, I think there's a couple of shows. He's like, so you posted this thing. What is this about? And I was great that he gave me the platform to explain those things, and I think that's what I enjoyed about, of course, I think we have a community of podcasters and people itself that have these platforms and are open as well. And I think overall, that's what made us all this kind of, all of us kind of a powerhouse, when it comes to things. Even when I think about it, just like you say, Ben's one of the most prominent members on Mindset. And given how Gareth is particular, and I'm sure people know what I'm talking about, how Gareth is particular, he wouldn't have you on if he didn't feel, if you brought something to the table. And I of course, I feel the same way with any show that I'm on or any people that I get, involved with, and they have a set of people that they came on. But when Gareth started having me on almost, it felt like at least once a month or so. And then eventually we were doing the live streams last year. It really, it was just nice. It was inviting to have all of us working. We were all working together, essentially, talking about what topics we wanted to talk about next and maybe what some stuff we could do in the future. But not saying no one here is inviting, but Gareth, he was like a ringleader. He was the ringmaster of the circus. He even knew how to cut me off because so I ramble on and stuff. And yeah,
you know what he was? I'll tell you what he was. And then it was going to sound no.
Many things.
This is going to sound corny, but I mean, and if you look at it, it's kind of true. He was like the proverbial father figure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he heard everybody out. He provided his input. He didn't always agree with what we said or vice versa, but he was always patient, and he always made sure that, even when the case with you, Justin, where you kind of sort of gave up on podcasting and shows, and he sort of reinvigorated you to do it again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the proverbial father figure.
Yeah. Yeah. He and not saying no one else did, and most definitely you guys are a huge part in that, even throughout the well, I think longer, but the decade that we've been doing this and known each other. But I think, yes, after being gone for almost 5 years or so, and it wasn't just Garrett, it was the community that we had. Let me pinpoint that out. It was all of us, but Gareth was kind of this weird linchpin, and he was someone I didn't know. I mean, literally, it was just years ago, just a few years ago, that 4 years ago or so that I've, got in contact with Gareth, and here we are. But it felt like I knew him for such a long time. Even some of the things that we talked about, he's like, oh, I know about that. And of course, Garrett's got quite a bit of years over me. I mean, I'm sure everyone does, but it was nice to talk to another person who also kind of knew some of the old TV shows and this, and who was able, because given the community now, it's very fresh with new people involved because of all the, not to bring it up with the paranormal TV shows and all that, but it was given that Gareth been involved for so long that it was just nice to have that sort of anchor with things. And I think even on one show, we were talking about, just paranormal investigating and all that. And Garrett's like, oh, I'm no investigator. I'm no whatever. And I'm like, Gareth, you've been doing this for 20, like 2 decades, man. You're an investigator. And I think I even said it was either on Nocturnal Frequency or his show. And I was like, I would call you our paranormal investigator, our colleague, our researcher. You are a fellow paranormal researcher in that case. And he never wanted to not necessarily accept it, but he never saw it that way. And he was. And little did we know, he had quite an impact. He had quite an impact on me, and I'm a nobody. So that's yeah.
He was always wanting to be a part of an investigation. He was saying that he never really went out and he wanted to, and we kept saying, well, find a local, a local group and just go out, man.
Yeah. Well, I think he knew. He knows how knuckleheads of the local groups are out there. I think. Well,
that's what he said. He said,
Yeah.
I just don't want to go out with anyone. I want to go out with guys like you. Like, I mean,
Yep.
It's. Yep. But, there was one time I remember he goes, he messaged me and he goes, look, man, I want to do a show on EVPs. And I go, sure. Do you have any? I go, I got a shitload, man. Just let me know how many you want and I'll send them to you. He goes, give me as much as you got. I go, okay, sure. I sent him around 10 just to start off with.
Yeah.
And I hear back from him like about a half an hour. And he goes, I've only listened to the first one and I'm blown away. I go, what was the first one? He goes, I don't know. It was like this coughing and this banging.
Oh yeah.
He was just so blown away by it.
Yeah.
And I go, well, I am to this day still.
Yeah.
The clarity of it, and it just blew my mind away.
Yeah.
But listening to him listen to these on the show and, sort of explaining them to him, just his reaction, it was like, wow.
It was refreshing.
Not only refreshing, it was, here's a guy who is not simply thinking that this is an EVP.
Yeah.
He is thinking about it as a whole. He's trying to explain it in his head.
Yeah.
Even though he wasn't there, he didn't know the circumstances surrounding the audio, even though I might have given him a little bit. He was automatically thinking this out in his head and trying to explain it.
Yeah.
Where most people would go, wow, that's cool.
What I got to take away, given certain saying things or explaining things, was it was last year or the year before, where we were all on. Alex, I think Gord might have been on, but it was for sure Steve, Alex, and I. And we were going through the list of things, and there was more things we should have talked about, of course, but we're going through a list of things, and Gareth was just blown away. He says, I have never in all my years, I have a clip of this. I think I have it posted on one of my links, but he's like, in all my years, I have never had paranormal investigators being able to explain away a lot of the claims that we have.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't know how many times he's said that. And that's the thing, because I mean, most investigators, if you will just simply say they'll run with it. And I am not like that. And I've never been like that. I've always been wanting to truly understand what we are dealing with, what we're dealing with. And Gareth, I think, was like that too.
Yep.
You know, but, you know, Ben, you know, when it came to, say, things that were, you know, controversial and conspiracy and all that kind of stuff, like I remember you were saying something about you could never get him to believe that the moon landing was fake.
Yes, I said that in my video. Yeah, I mean, he wouldn't. He had his own ideas on things, and I don't think he'd change his mind to be popular. He would never say something just to be popular. I mean, he really didn't. I don't think he really cared about what other people thought. I mean, he on the mindset, we often delved into very controversial areas, including some subjects I don't think I can even mention on YouTube. And I used to say to him, you know, you sure we should bring this up? You know, and he says, because you know it's like these days with censorship. He says, that's all right. It's don't worry about that. I'm paying these guys. They won't stop me. So it is true, actually. If it's a paid service, they tend not to be very censorious. But he was very daring, actually, and he wouldn't. I don't think he would ever hold back. If he had a thought in his head, he wanted to discuss something, he would sometimes say, Ben, we're going to go into some controversial stuff now. Are you ready? And I thought, he says, I really wasn't sure whether to bring this up, meaning, yes, I'm good. Meaning he was sure. But people, I think it got a bit too much for some people. And Joe Resington sort of quietly slipped away eventually, I think, because of this. But most people we just said what we thought and moved on. And it was all part of the fun. I mean, Gareth was a showman. He had a great sense of fun.
Yeah.
And to him, a lot of it was entertainment. And he used to sometimes he would actually stick his oar in and disagree, be objectionable, just to try and stir up some kind of not a all-out war, but just to stir up some dissent on the panel. And it usually worked. He did it, including with myself. And I realised, at the end, he said, I said, you were doing that deliberately, weren't you? And he says, it's good radio. It's good radio. I said, yeah, that's true. They don't want us. Listeners would get bored if we were just sitting around nodding over everything everyone else said all the time. Let's have a bit of dissent. Let's have some disagreement in the panel. And it worked, actually, because I think those were our more popular shows.
I just remember when now Alex turned into the Incredible Hulk.
Oh, fuck.
With that, you know, the end result of something being stirred up during the show.
I don't even remember what the topic was anymore, to be honest with you.
I can't remember, but I know that I hear you, Ben, exactly what you're saying there and how he was that. You know, I always, you know, I would say to him, you know, are you sure you're in fucking Los Angeles? Because you remind me of a fucking New Yorker.
Yeah, with the mouth of his.
Just sometimes when he would talk, it's like, man, you remind me of a New Yorker.
Yeah.
You don't remind me of a guy from Los Angeles. And of course, you know, people would go, well, look, you know, he's from the UK. But I mean, he spent over half his life in the States, right, Ben?
Yeah, he comes from South Wales originally. Like we're both from Wales, both expat taffies. He moved a lot further than I did, but because I'm in Oxford, England. But he moved. I think he was quite young when he moved to the United States, and he got married and had a family. And I think he, as you go, he spoke like an American. His voice.
Yeah.
He comes from South Wales. His family all have strong Welsh accent, but he doesn't. He can put one on. He can put one on if he wants. He had such a broad smile, and I used to think he looked like Indrid Cold. It reminded me of the pictures of Indrid Cold of the Point Pleasant mystery.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mothman.
Yeah. Gareth, where's your accent? You know,
I put it on. I mean,
he did.
Said, hello, boy. He suddenly come on the show and said, hello, boy. How you doing? So he could still put it back on if he wanted to. Yeah.
He was good with voices.
Yeah, he was. Oh, he was great with voices. Really cool with voices. So Ben, you're able to meet Gareth a few times.
Met him 3 times.
And what was it? You had the Mindset meetup a couple times, and what was the other one? The Highgate thing.
Oh, the first time I met him was in 2015 at an event Dela organised. Actually, the Highgate Vampire Symposium. He was a speaker. I actually never went to the event itself, but I went to the pub just to meet him. I just wanted to see him, and I met him there with his brother. And Alex Fate was there as well. It was a wonderful meetup. Dela's actually recorded some video of the event, which is on her page, which she set up for Gareth. And as you can see, we're really overjoyed to meet each other, and we had a wonderful evening. And I met him twice more after that. He held events in London, which he called the Mindset Meetup. He actually filmed them and did little reportages of them, just short, very short, but they're on the channel. And they were really great. We were just completely social events, and they were really good.
Yeah. Well, I just finished watching. I think it was the first meetup one that he did. I believe it was the first one that I watched one of them, and it was pretty cool to watch. It's neat because I mean Gareth was always when he's when he'd go do these things, he'd always, it was a production. Like, I mean, he would make a visual representation of it. And, one that was cool that he recently did was, I kept telling him about this brewery and not too far from him. And he had never heard of it. And I go, dude. Because everybody knows his love for horror movies, Hammer horror, classic horror. And I said, man, I got this place for you. You got to check it out. And the place was called Phantom Carriage. He goes, Phantom Carriage? Yeah, just after the movie. He goes, oh, man, I got to check this place out. I go, you have to. Even the beers are named after like classic, horror movies and stuff like that. So finally, he made his way out there just a few weeks ago, and he did a video presentation, and we talked about it on one of his Monday morning shows. And it was really neat to watch the little representation that he put together. Pretty neat. He was great like that, and it's just. Really makes you think, man. It really does.
He used to, if I did an event, like if I went away somewhere or anything, he always wanted to know what people were doing. And we would also often have a discussion on things we were doing. Like if I went to a conference or I went to, at one point I went to see a transfiguration medium, and he was fascinated by that. Mm-hmm. And we had a lot. He really wanted to know. He said, as soon as I got back, he said, how did it go? Because he watched my video of it, and then he said, we got to talk about this on the show. And we did like about a whole hour on this guy I saw, Jason Harrington he's called, this medium. And he said, what was it? He wanted to know what it was like, because of course I couldn't film the event, but he wanted to know everything that happened. He never short of anything to talk about. He would dig up news, anything from the news. He would find old movies to talk about.
Yep.
And I don't think there was ever. I mean, I didn't provide much material myself actually to the show in terms of research. He did all that.
Yeah.
He would just fire things at me and all the rest of the panel. And sometimes they would provide things. I hardly ever did. The other members did, but I didn't. Gareth just did it all.
Well, that was the coolest thing about him. I mean, you throw something at it, and just watching him absorb it and go, okay, I got to look into that, and then he would literally look into it and come up with all this shit. You're like, wow, where did you find this stuff?
Good researcher.
He was really good at researching. Joe, we got to have you on the show to talk about skunk apes in the future.
Oh yeah, I think
Good old Joe
Joe's in
Dunn.
Sunfield somewhere. He's probably
Yeah,
in
it's Joe
some
Dunn,
fields
yeah.
camping out somewhere tonight. Hi Joe, if you're
Hey
listening.
guys in the chat.
Okay, well, we have a little message. We have a little audio clip from Dela, who has prepared a little something that she wanted to say about Gareth. So we'll play that. Let's play that,
Yeah.
Alex.
Okay. So I won't be able to mute the audio, otherwise they won't be able to hear it. So just let it go and try not to say anything.
Yep.
Here we go.
I could do mine.
Hi everyone, Dela here, speaking from London, England, 18th of August 2021. Firstly, massive praise to all of Gareth's friends and listeners who are taking part in this tribute show tonight. I know it must be very hard for you to hold it together enough to speak on air so soon, and I think that you are friends of the most excellent calibre for doing so, and very brave. We're all in so much shock. Ben Emlyn Jones, who was very close with Gareth, put across many people's feelings very well yesterday in his YouTube video, and I especially felt for him when he described the affection that he and Gareth shared. That was, of course, about their personal friendship, but Gareth was part of all of our lives. He was on our screens and in our ears for years, several times a week for some listeners and contributors. That's a lot of shows and a lot of Skype calls, and I think we would all agree that it was like an online social club, really, and actually better than going to the pub, as Ben pointed out, especially in recent times. And it's clear that Gareth's passing has had a huge impact upon a lot of people. Just say a little bit about how Gareth and I got to know each other, which about a decade ago, through my husband David Farrant, who passed away in 2019. Now, David was quite a controversial person, and Gareth was never anything other than supportive. He was an extremely loyal and protective friend to both of us, and we really, really appreciated that. Gareth made me feel very at home and amongst friends in a scene that I was new to, something which I can see many of his listeners can relate to as well from their comments over the last couple of days. I think it must have been through Gareth that I met Alex Rondini and Steve Genier, and through them made several other good friends of long standing. I know I'm not the only person to have developed entirely fresh friendship circles via Gareth's shows, and that's a great thing. Gareth and David had been pen pals since the mid-1990s, before the internet and international calls, were commonplace and affordable. But Gareth and myself started with Skype calls and Facebook messages, and then radio shows, and then eventually he came to England and spoke at a paranormal discussion event which I organised in 2015 in Highgate in North London. And that was great, especially because we got to meet him for the first time, and also, but so many other mindset people got to meet that day in person, like Ben, of course, Alex Fate, and Reeves Cook, and I'm sure there's other people I haven't mentioned. I don't need to remind you all just how effing witty Gareth was. His humour was razor sharp. His critical thinking was terrifyingly well-tuned, as was his ability to listen intelligently and emotionally. Keeping the compliments rolling here, has anyone mentioned Gareth's sexy voice yet? I thought it was really fwa. I could listen to him reading the phone book. I told him that when we were visited at home that one time by Gareth and his brother Richard. And I got him to say random stuff to see if it sounded seductive, which he found hilarious. Anyway, I'm signing off now. Love to you all. Stick together. ignore the trolls and keep truth-seeking and sharing memories. I think we all know how lucky we were to be able to share time with an astonishing person like Gareth. And like Ben, I believe we'll all meet again, but in the meantime, let's keep our community alive and thriving and as supportive as ever. Dela.
Absolutely. Yep. Thank you, Dela. Absolutely right. Guys, we all have to stick together here. We all have to keep Gareth's, presence alive. And, like I said in a couple messages before, you guys are always welcome here as well. It's there's this big vacuum going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all feeling it, obviously, more than others, more that, a lot of you guys have been well connected with Gareth for years and really know him. And you guys are hurting, man. And like I've only known him for just a better part of a decade, like Dela, but that decade has been, it's felt like 20 or 30 years, man. Like I think it was Justin that said, I've only known him for a short period of time, but it feels like an eternity. And that's the way Gareth was with everybody. At least to me, it was like you could sit down and talk with a guy for so long and always find something in common.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be, but there was always something. And that's the thing that that fascinated me the most was with mindset and the people that have been associated with Gareth's show. He said to me numerous accounts, to myself and Alex, you gotta have people on like Reeves and Ben. You gotta have these guys on the show. You'll find them fascinating. And Joe Dunn, Joe, I love your hiking videos, man. They're awesome.
Yeah.
Some of the places, like I love Florida, man, but man, you really bring Florida out. And this is the type of stuff that Gareth created. This network.
Yeah.
That, guys, don't let it die.
Yeah.
Don't let it die. Keep it alive for Gareth.
Yeah.
I think it could keep going. I mean, there's already, because Gareth took a year and a half off. Between 2017 and 2019, I forgot what dates exactly. He didn't do Mindset Central at all, and the rest of us got together and started a new show called Third Rail Radio, which is kind of a replacement for it. It's still going today now.
Oh, wow.
I with Trevor and Joe Dunn. Sometimes I do solo shows as well. So I think he has. I think a lot of people got into their own podcasting because of Mindset Central. I think he did inspire. And there's somebody actually said, I think it was Justin, you said in our inbox group that you'd basically been inspired by Gareth to be creative on your own part. Yeah.
Yeah. I was, I've been with Alex and Steve for literally over a decade, and for about 4 or 5 years, of course, for life, because of life, I just kind of put everything to the side. Still paid for my website, still paid for all the stuff, but didn't do anything, I had a couple shows that were uploading, and then they started waning, and I was traveling for work, which didn't help either. That was added on top of that. But literally a few years ago, again, doing Nocturnal Frequency, I was literally traveling at work, brought my whole mixer and, laptop with me because, they wanted me to come on, and then eventually Gareth wanted me to come on. And some of the shows I've done with Gareth, I believe I was out of state at the time. And he just
home brewing.
He sparked it. Yeah. I have a travel mixer, and then I have one right here. And actually, hello everyone, this camera that's Gareth sent me that. The one that's right there. He sent me this. He didn't have to. I was waiting for my camera. He sent me this camera that's with me right now.
That's right. I remember him saying that.
Yeah.
I remember that. I just want to give out a shout to Trevor Murray too as well, fellow Canadian out there, I believe in Alberta, who's been on Mindset a few times as well. Right, Ben?
Yes, in fact, Trevor's my most frequent co-host on the Third Rail as well.
Yes.
So if he's in, is he in chat?
He's in the chat. Yes.
Hello, Trevor. Hey, mate. All right. We're going to do our own little tribute to Gareth at some point in the next couple of weeks on Third Rail.
Yeah. Well, keep us posted because we'd definitely love to show up or is it a live show or is it a podcast?
It'll be just a recorded podcast. But if anybody, we're looking for people to come on, and just talk about it, talk about Gareth.
Yeah.
Just for an hour or so, which we're going to put up on our channel.
Yeah. Like I said, there's just a wonderful network of wealth, people with such knowledge that Gareth has brought to light. Like I said, if it wasn't for Gareth and Mindset, a lot of these people, maybe eventually you might find somebody.
Yeah.
But because of Gareth, it's all in one area.
Yeah.
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 It's funny. Yeah, well, we loved Gareth. I mean, Gareth was a regular here, and we, when COVID started, I don't know how many times we did a lockdown show. How many times? So many.
I lost count.
Yeah.
We would always make predictions on how long it would last, and we were always wrong.
Yeah.
He did a lot. He actually really took advantage of being furloughed because he started doing more YouTube work and things like that. So he used his extra free time to the greatest extent. He didn't just sit around drinking and playing computer games. I mean, he was creative with the extra time. When he relaunched the Mindset podcast in 2019, everyone was overjoyed. We thought, how long is he going to do it for this time? Because he ended the first series very suddenly, and he didn't really. I'm not sure. Still not sure exactly why he did that. It may have been to do with personal issues he was having.
Yeah.
But it was all very sudden and out of the blue. This is why we started Third Rail Radio. But really, he showed no signs of slowing down.
Yeah.
Right up to his last days, he was on a roll. I mean, he showed no signs of declining. I think you could just see how suddenly everything just cuts off on his channel. It's just that's the last show he did, 459 on Mindset Podcast 459, and then he did his 6th stream where he actually talks about feeling ill, and he just says, "I've got a bad cold."
Yep. But he kept saying, I feel better than yesterday, and there was a sense of hope. Mm-hmm. That okay, he's gotten by, but damn it, I don't even want to go there. But I was watching. I was just watching last year's Halloween show that we did, and I was drinking this. I was drinking this beer right off the bat, this 11% beer, and Gareth goes, I had to take a break for a second. He was talking to Reeves, I believe it was, and he's telling Reeves, he goes, he's fucking drinking a beer that's 11%. I don't know how the fuck he's still standing.
Some of those shows, though.
He used to drink on the shows. I mean, check out the Boxing Day Bonanza. Who stayed? I was only on for 2 hours, but he finished about 10 hours later.
Yeah. I got in there at the tail end of those things. And,
man, I just couldn't. I just thought I've got to quit now. I did 2 hours. And I thought that's it. But he was still going at the end, and I couldn't believe how long the live stream was at the end of it. And they were all absolutely reeling at the end of it. They were all reeling. It's quite funny, actually. That's got to be a classic one. That's one to download, I think.
Yeah, grab clips of those guys out there. Those are some good times.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's like You fast forward to see who's still hanging on like 4 hours later.
Well, for
And-
me, it was seeing a more relaxed side of Gareth, because I think everyone's used to the mindset Gareth and all that. And when we started doing those, most of you guys were on earlier than I was. I ended up coming in a little later, but it was relaxed. Gareth joking around. I got to see Gareth's sense of humor, even though I knew his cynical side already. It was a total other side of Gareth, and I was like, this is a Gareth I can get in trouble with.
And you know what? Given the chance, you probably would have gotten in trouble, Justin.
I would.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to see those shows, guys. It was great. It was great. So there was a little off the rails, but I enjoyed it. It was great. But yeah.
Well, you know what? The good thing is that despite all the topics that Gareth discussed on his show, and even when he came on our show, we always kept it lighthearted, and that's one of the things that it's very difficult to find in people. I mean, aside from the fact of what we discussed earlier, that regardless of whether you disagreed on certain points, didn't matter to him. At the end of the day, you were still friends. That in and of itself is a unique trait. But to be able to also have fun while discussing topics you enjoy to discuss is definitely special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because, well, it's not funny, but Gareth, he messaged me because he tuned into one show, the last show that we did with Fred Anderson out of Sweden, and the whole UFO flap that he was talking about. And Gareth was so fascinated with what Fred was talking about, and he was just picking my brain. And I said, you know what? You got to talk to Fred. Have him on your show. I mean, that didn't happen, obviously, but have him on your show. And I said, the guy, he's literally somebody who is just looking to find something that is just so unusual. And the guy does it. Like he's the guy that showed me all about the Randonaut stuff before it even started.
Oh yeah.
Right. He's the guy that pointed it out. And then, I remember telling you guys, and then I told Gareth, and Gareth's like, what the hell is this?
And then I started doing it.
I think, yeah, it's like, oh, well, I don't know. Just look into it, man. And the more I looked into it, the more I started doing it. And, of course, it did produce some interesting things, but a lot of it was just stupid. But
of course, yeah. Yeah. No, there is some interesting stuff. I did it recently. I want to give a shout out to Percy out there because he isn't on. I'm sure he's in the chat room, but of course he was doing the Friday Night Howls with Gareth recently, and him and Gareth for sure. They did a really good job at doing those wonderful hangouts, which we did a lot of drinking on. And Gareth would probably be rolling right now because this is probably the clearest and best connection I've had in probably a few years. You guys, if you guys listen and I'm on, you would hear Gareth complaining about my connection issue.
He complained even when you weren't on.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Justin. No, it'd be like, where the fuck is Justin? Justin was supposed to be here already. Where the fuck is Justin?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. We're just going to have to start without Justin.
Yeah. And here you are. Finally get a new computer. Everything's working. And yeah, it was pretty funny. He would be jealous right now of how clear of connection we got, and everything's working beautifully. For you, Gareth. It's finally working for you.
Well, did you want to open the lines up for a little bit to see if anybody wants to call in and say anything?
That's gonna knock me off, you know it.
No, it's not, because I'll bring you back on.
Yeah, but I'm the one doing the stream, remember?
Well, I'll still bring you back on.
I wonder if
did we
there's
knock you off, or
no? You should be good.
Why?
I got knocked off.
He got knocked off. See, he just got knocked.
I got knocked.
Did you get knocked?
I got knocked up.
You got knocked up or knocked off?
Knocking off got me knocked up.
I can't wait for the gender reveal.
Yeah, you and me both.
I mean, okay. So Ben, is there any other guests that we haven't mentioned that were regulars?
I think. Let me think. I think the panel sort of shifted over the years, and we occasionally had people. We occasionally had like guest panelists such as Thomas Sheridan and Miles Johnston and Colin Woolford. I think Colin did he did several dozen shows actually. He's a very interesting chap. He's a good friend of mine actually. Colin, I saw him just before I heard that Gareth had died. I was actually met up with him in Oxford, and then I found out that Gareth had died. But I don't know if you can possibly ever find all of them, because there's so many. And like, of course, when you've, like I say, he's been doing this. I've known him since 2013, and he was doing this long before. I mean, he started. There was someone else. I can't remember the name of the guy he started Mindset with, but who wasn't around when I joined. But Gareth actually, it was originally a joint effort with some other people, including a chap he started the Mindset podcast with. And I can't remember. I don't know where he is, or I've never met him or spoken to him. But there's just so many.
I want to mention too, Matt Williams of the Secret Vault as well.
Oh yeah, he was on quite a lot. Yeah, Niall Murphy as well, through an opaque lens.
Oh yes.
He was on there as well.
You know what? When I came back, a bunch of other people came back out of the shadows of podcasting. Niall was one of them, because he just recently came back too. He said he was, and a few other guys. They said the same thing. Kind of Gareth started up again, and then everyone else, we just kind of came around.
I think Niall, I think, might have been. I think his comeback was directly related to the Mindset, because he used to do an excellent series called Shamanic Freedom Radio, which is really good. Then he dropped out for a couple of years and then came back with Through an Opaque Lens at the same time as he joined the Mindset podcast. Yeah. And I think the two were related actually. He kind of got back on the air because of that. I know he knows about what's happened, but he's in Costa Rica at the moment, so I don't know what he's doing his own thing there. But if he's listening, hi Niall, how you doing? Hey, Niall. He'll probably listen to the recording of this.
It's like there's so many people, and I know we're not going to be able to mention everybody, but this is what I mean. The network is just so vast. And we're talking about getting everybody, in a network. We're talking about everything. You know what, Matt, Secret Vault, give us a call.
I just posted the number.
Did you just post it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah, give us a call, Matt, and Reeves, anybody. Give us a call.
I know Matthew's trying to raise money for like a wreath or something like that.
And we posted the information in the description below the show. But we will mention it. The email and PayPal are the same. It's me@thematthewwilliams.com. And if you make a donation, please clarify it's for Gareth. Once again, clarify it's for Gareth, and that is me@thematthewwilliams.com. Is both his email and PayPal.
We had Michael Doubleday says that it was Peter Glenn. I don't know if you're familiar with that, Ben.
Oh, yeah, that's the guy. Peter Glenn. I never got to speak to him, but he was instrumental in helping Gareth set up.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks. Yeah, on the subject actually of, I think we should mention his catalogue, because Gareth produced a huge amount of material, and some of it is still available on his current website and on his YouTube channel. I recommend downloading all that, because I don't know how long those platforms will be there Now he's gone. I don't know how long they'll be there for. To download everything on those platforms if you can. Any space you have on your hard drive, do so. I've downloaded like the second series of Mindset podcasts. On the subject of the first series, now they're not. There's 345 episodes.
Yeah.
Wow. Which you can't actually get now. Maybe Gareth's got them stored somewhere. We may eventually get hold of them at some point. But I have 147 of those episodes in my own private collection. If anyone wants one, just let me know, and I'll share them to you. All right. So
awesome.
I download. See, all the ones I was on. I just a habit. I always download anything I'm on.
I know. I do the same thing.
It's a habit I've got,
yeah.
just in case, and I've still got that collection.
Yeah.
So when the website went, and the poker show as well, which I did. It was a solo show I did for Mindset.
I always appreciated, Ben, when you recorded our episodes that you send me a copy and stuff like that. So I always appreciate that.
No problem. I'll send them to you, Gareth. To Justin, I'll send them over to you. All right, mate.
Yeah, I tried to download the episodes myself, of course. As Steve was saying earlier, anyone's interested, we'll love to have you guys on doing more shows. I've had Joe on and stuff myself. And once I get my feet more settled here, I'm hoping to have everyone else on too. And I have not everything, but I had some on my network. And if people tune into the anonymousradionetwork.podbean.com, you can actually listen to.
We've
go
got
ahead.
a call. We got a call. And if we knock Alex out, hopefully it won't knock him out. Hold on. Here we go. Hello, caller.
Uh-oh.
Caller, are you there?
It's a ghost.
Something went wrong. Because Alex is still here.
That's right. That's how you know it didn't work.
Call in again if you can. I don't know why it didn't merge into the call. So for some reason it didn't merge. Weird. Skype. You gotta love Skype. Oh, here we go. Hello, caller.
Uh-oh.
Hello. How are you doing?
Who do we have?
It's the Secret Vault.
Oh, hey, Matthew. How are you?
Not too bad. I'm going to have to pause the stream because I've got like 2 sets of audio, but there we are. That's better. Well, nice to speak to you on the show. I've not been on your show before, but I would rather say that I wish it was under better circumstances.
Absolutely.
And
you know, that's something it's funny because Gareth mentioned you a few times, saying, again, another one of his friends and guests that he's had on in the past that we should investigate and have on our show. And like you said, unfortunately, but in the future, when the dust is settled, and we would definitely love to have you on.
Yeah, I mean, it was so nice of Gareth to invite us on the show, and it felt like, kindred spirits, everybody on the show sort of having fun. And yeah, I'm going to miss that. I must be honest.
Yeah. I totally miss it already. It's like I said, I haven't been a part of Gareth's family as long as you guys have, but for the amount of time that I've been a part of it, I just, having him on our show and again, being on his show a few times, it's just like Gareth sort of gave me this look at, I'm itching to talk. Mm-hmm. I'm itching to look, can we do a show? And when I mentioned this lockdown series that we did, it was like, oh yeah, let's do it. Let's go live. Your show, my show, whatever, let's do it. But yeah, you're going to miss that stuff. And that's what I mean. There's this vast vacuum, this empty vacuum now that just, it's just, you can't replace it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Gareth, sorry, go ahead.
was going to say it's just become so much a part of my life now because I used to do at least one show with him every week, sometimes two, and whenever I was available, which was most of the time because I was free on Sunday afternoons. I can't believe that's not going to happen again. At least not right now. Not in this life anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know Gareth as well as you did, Ben. I mean, you've known him since 2013. I've only known him maybe 2 years. But he really sort of came across to me like a friend that I'd had for many years, even though I hadn't known him for many years. He came across to me like a friend that I had years ago who also passed away, and I held in high regard, and he used to like all the same movies, and he you know, he was into all the same things. He was at the sort of like same sort of nerdy level knowledge of all that sort of stuff. And it's almost like as if Gareth replaced my friend, you know, that I lost, and Gareth replaced that friend, and he replaced him so well. It's like I felt like I knew Gareth. You know, I really knew him as like a person I'd known for a long time, and now I just kind of realized, you know, we'd said in passing it would be really good because I'd met him once at London. You were there, Ben, I think, and Miles. He wanted to meet Mad Miles Johnson, the crazy pirate radio broadcaster, and Miles lived up to expectations there when he was there. And but I kind of I remember him saying to me, "Oh, it'd be really good if you came over. We could like do Area 51, you know, and then go and do that." And I really did want to do that if there was any way I could have done it. And now I realize that's not going to happen, and that's just a bit of a sad thing because I just felt there was so much more that was going to happen down the line with Gareth, and it was going to be great times and good future. And yeah, I feel sad obviously for his loss, but I feel like, whoa, you know, I didn't get to meet and know Gareth better, which is sad, you know. So.
Yeah, I hear you, Matt. I mean, I'm the same way. It's, you know, Gareth goes, you know, or you guys should do a meetup. You got, you know, because he was always doing the mindset meetup, and I said, you know, we were thinking about it. And of course, COVID hits and making that, you know, a tough thing to do. And we said, okay, when things clear up, we'll do this.
Yeah.
We'll have a meetup and bang. And of course this happens, and that, you know, not going to be a reality. And it's sad because, you know, there are two people that I really, really wanted to meet. And that's Gareth and you know, Dela's husband, David, who became a really good friend of mine over the years as well. You know, and it's really sad. But you know, I cherish the moments that we were able to, you know, talk and not just on, you know, on the radio shows, whatever, but you know, just chatted. You know, we often talked about horror movies, you know, Hammer horror and classic horror movies, and you know, he was always talking about what movies he picked up on Blu-ray, and you know, these things just, you know, we made things hit off between us, and you know, it's like I said, it's like you, Matt, saying that, you know, he basically did a good job of replacing, you know, a friend of yours that passed away. You know, it just the way he was, he just, you know, you were so comfortable with him and talking with him and everything else. It's so hard to describe, I guess, other than Gareth was just an easygoing guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was no sense of sort of awkwardness or weird, or never any sense of sort of like, you know, I'm not connecting here. Like it was that whole sense of you totally know each other, and you get this feeling of kind of like you can kind of get down to that kind of level of humor, because I was always degenerating to like schoolboy humor with him when I did the shows. I mean, I hate to think if I listen back at some of them, I was like, did I actually say that, on the show? And he had a great sort of sense of fun, that sort of energy he had, and I don't know if he's one of these guys that when he's like he wasn't on the camera, he would immediately like fall asleep, which is what I do. But it seemed to me like he just had this energy to keep going and going and going. So much so that when he started doing these did you catch these early morning shows he did before he went to work?
Yeah,
Wow.
I was on.
How did he do that?
I know. I was on a couple of them. Like I was doing the Monday mornings with him, and it was at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I said, "Really? 6 o'clock your time, man? You really?"
That's quite something, isn't it? I mean, it's not just. I mean, he had to get up for work anyway, but he didn't not allow himself even Sundays. I mean, weekdays as well. He was up early and he was so he just loved doing it. I think. I mean, he was an absolutely prodigious extrovert. I mean, he loved people. He knew how to handle people. He could talk to people, like you say, Matt. And he tolerate. I mean, the thing about you, Matt, is that you were always gulping the beer, weren't you, on the show? And I think that might be why you yeah. But he loved. He saw the funny side of it. I mean, not everyone did, but he always saw the funny side of everything you did, and he could always just have a laugh about it. He didn't get uptight about it. He just laughed it off. And
I think some people say they tolerate me. I think I suppose he tolerated me well.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, it's. I was just watching. I think a little some of your stuff on YouTube there, Matt. Just watching the one video there about your place being raided.
Oh, sugar, yeah, you've just seen that one. I mean, there's always some sort of drama seems to be going on in my life, and I don't wish it, but it happens, and everyone says like you should calm down, keep your head down, but I can't, and I kind of feel Gareth was kind of like that sort of person too. It was just kind of like he was just out there, and you don't meet many people. I mean, present company excluded, of course, who can just get up there and put on a show and hold it together and keep it interesting. And Gareth was definitely one of those people who could do that, so naturally it was, and I'm flabbergasted that he's gone, because I was talking to him, as many of you probably were, right to the very end, and I was saying, hey man, you're in hospital, that sounds like serious, and and then it just stopped. Stopped.
I'm like, I think I sent him a text just as he went into the hospital and said, hey, but I didn't know he was in the hospital. I just, you over that bad cold yet or what? Like, everything okay? And of course nothing. And, you kind of get worried, something's going on. And, and then obviously the bits of news come out. I know, I believe it was somebody who he was working with. Block City, I believe. I think he went by the name of I think so. Somebody he worked
on YouTube.
With. Yes.
He put stuff on YouTube.
Yeah, who had been in contact with the family and in the beginning and let everybody know that he was in the hospital and he was quite ill with COVID and and on a ventilator and it just. Oh, Percy. Okay. Sorry. So Percy, did you work? Do you work with Gareth?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, when you heard that, I was just like, wow. Okay. I just dropped. I'm like, watching that 6 stream. And sitting there going, dude, man, why didn't you go get looked at? Why didn't you do something?
I honestly think he thought he had a bad flu, and for a week,
I know, and I
didn't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
COVID is like that for most people. I mean, that's what it was like for me. It was like a very bad dose of the flu. But Gareth did have other health problems. You see, he did talk over the years how he'd been in and out of hospital with one thing or another. And I thought, if you have got a coof and you've got these other underlying health problems, that could be a sign it'll get a lot worse.
Yeah.
So I didn't really think that it would be that bad, but I did think, I hope he's all right. I hope he's okay.
Yeah.
Just get in touch with us. Let us know you're all right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had that feeling.
Yeah, and then just everything went silent, and just and it was just nerve-wracking, waiting to hear some sort of some update. And I want to thank Percy for keeping everybody up to date as best as he could, when he was doing it.
Is Percy Block City?
Percy might be on you.
he is.
All right. Thanks,
Percy.
It is. Yeah, I did talk to him. Yeah. Thanks,
Yeah.
mate. Cheers. I didn't know your name.
Yeah.
Yeah, Percy is actually on the chat as Percy. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. It was always good, and like I said, but it was nail biting. Hoping that you weren't going to hear the worst, and when there was that little ray of hope, and there was a bit of improvement. You're thinking to yourself, okay, he's going to do it. He's going to do it. He's going to make it. He's going to be okay. And of course, he took a turn for the worse, and obviously, he lost his battle.
Yeah.
It's just a shame, and like I said, you could say, saying he lost his battle and he's no longer here with us. It's still just so fucking unreal.
Yeah, I didn't believe it. I mean, I thought this was somebody, like messing around. I wouldn't believe it until I heard it from the family. I kind of managed to track down his brother, and I was speaking to his brother and getting updates from his brother. And I just couldn't believe it. I was like, no, this is not real. Gareth would fight this. He's fighting. He's going to come through it. And I was, it just didn't make sense, to be perfectly honest. I mean, it's like, no.
Well, I first heard about it from you, Matthew. Yeah, and I just thought, I heard about it from you, and I thought, no, that can't be true. Matthew's made a mistake. And I contacted Richard myself, and he told me it was true. I did like I said, I couldn't really accept it until I've heard it. I thought there's got to be a mistake.
Well, I got a message from Reeves just out of the blue, and he said, "Have you talked to anybody?" And I said, "I just been keeping an eye on YouTube, because there's Percy obviously now, was keeping people up to date and stuff like that." And then Reeves just goes, "Gareth passed away." And I nearly just dropped. I'm like, I was in total disbelief. I couldn't. I just had to sit there and collect my thoughts and go, what? You have a feeling it's there, but you don't want to believe it's there. Yeah. And especially when, you were just talking to him. Now, sure it was, just before he got really sick, but it just, there's just no way to explain it really, other than, well, he's gone.
Yeah.
And we're not going to hear, Gareth live anymore. We're not going to be able to talk to him anymore, which is a total fucking shame.
And his memes.
His memes, everything, just what Gareth was doing to be Gareth, and
do you know what kept running through my head, and it's kind of sad, and I hope nobody minds me kind of saying this, but it keeps going through my head because he kept playing it every single show, and the irony of it. But I think he in a way he'd find us to kind of see the funny side, but it's not funny. Yeah. It's like he used to always play the guy, in the dressing gown going, get up out of bed. And that's what was going through my head whenever I was thinking about him in hospital. I was thinking, yeah, you'll get up out of bed. And he didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, it's.
I was going to go and see him.
That's what got me. That's what got me. Sorry, Ben.
Sorry, mate. I was going to go and see him. I thought I could go and visit him. I got the money because I've been saving. Basically, I've been working through the lockdown, so I've not been going anywhere. So I've been buying groceries. So I've got some savings, and then I would have gone. Honestly, I'd have gone on. I'd been on the first plane, but then I suddenly saw the restrictions.
Oh yeah.
I'd have had to self-isolate for 10 days at the other end. I thought, no, that can't be done. But I wanted to go and see him. I just wanted to go and sort of visit him.
There's so much hurdles now. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it, but yes.
Yeah.
It's like, Gareth, why do you have to do it now? It's shitty doing it now. It just,
come on. Have some thought for us, Gareth. Why are you doing this?
It's reality is stranger than fiction, because in the story, this would never happen. There'd always be some kind of build-up. There'd always be the author would give you some kind of clue as what's going to happen. If there's any celestial author, cosmic author writing our own stories, as Shakespeare said, if the world's a stage, then there were no sort of hints that anything like this was going to happen. Yeah. Gareth has just been truncated from the story. He's just been removed, as if it's like almost like a plot error, a narrative flaw. This character has just suddenly vanished.
An alternate timeline, almost.
It's the sort of thing an editor would pick you up on if you were submitting this to a publisher. He's just gone. Where did this character go? Oh, you didn't write him out.
Michael says in chat, I feel terrible for his wife and kids, and
yeah.
And the thought that people were spreading it like wildfire on before the kids knew, that kind of broke my heart. I mean, like you don't want your kids to read something online about your father.
Yeah.
Well, do you know, that was kind of probably myself, but at the time when I heard about it, I didn't record the video for a few hours because I was still processing it. Yeah. But I think it went out. So it would have been about 2:00 in the afternoon, and somebody said to me, "You can't put that out because of the kids." And I said, "Why is this?" And they said, "Well, because they're not up out of bed yet." And I said, "Well, it is 2 PM, so I don't know what happened there." But I'm really sorry if they.
It's understandable. I mean, like, and you get, you what is it? It's like a 5-hour time difference, and I mean,
6, yeah,
8. It's 8 actually.
Is it 8?
Yeah, from LA.
Yeah,
from LA.
Yeah. He's on the West Coast. That's right. Yeah. I keep forgetting. I'm thinking here. But yeah. Oh, they were in school. Oh, yeah.
They never saw anything. They were at school.
I mean, people don't know. People. They just look at and here's a good friend passed away. You're overcome with these feelings and shit, and it's I mean, we can't really blame anybody for anything. It's just the fact that what happened.
Yeah, I mean,
what happened is what happened.
If it upset anybody, I'm really sorry. It's just kind of like, I'm kind of like an open book, and I thought, well, everyone he knows needs to know this. I didn't cross my mind that there was going to be anyone that would be in the family that would hear it like that. So
yeah.
And I heard from I was actually really in shock when Gareth's brother Richard sent me a message. That totally threw me right off. I'm like, wow. And I get this message from Richard and saying that look at Gareth really thought a lot about you, and and I'm like, wow. I did not expect that at all. I did not expect a message from Richard at all, and I know he's he was sounding very devastated, and rightfully so, and his mom, and Gareth has another brother, does he not?
Yeah, he has. I forgot the name was. Yeah, I think he's got two brothers.
Yeah.
I didn't know about the second one. Richard was the one I was in contact with. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
There's another one apparently.
Yeah.
They were at the event in London, at Dela's event, the Highgate Vampire thing.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, Gareth, did not really talk about his wife or kids. He kept, exactly. He kept very professional about that, and that's perfectly fine. I mean, that there's no reason for him to talk about that if he doesn't want to. I mean, let's face it. I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, look at the trolls out there.
Yeah.
I mean, the trouble they cause. Just imagine what they would cause if they knew about other stuff.
Yeah.
I've noticed actually YouTube do very very. The comments you write, they do delete them if they're in any way rude, and they seem to know all the tricks. Because I did leave some really rude comments for these guys, and they just got deleted. But yeah, there were some really horrible people actually on YouTube especially, which is really, I think, like Dela said, we just got to ignore them.
Yeah.
Just don't feed them, and then that's what I'm going to do from now on. I'm just
I don't even
their posts.
I don't even bother with them. I really don't. I think they're, like I said, there's always going to be trolls no matter what, and they're just looking for a way in, and the minute you give them that way in, that's when they wreak havoc. I mean, you know what? It's not even worth it, Ben. It's not. You'll never change. You'll never change it, and you'll just make life hell for yourself. It's not even worth it.
No, exactly.
I don't know how many times, I don't know how many times that we on the show have had to deal with trolls, even with the calls when we used to have the calls, right, Alex?
Yeah.
So some of the trolls were just absolutely ridiculous. Some of the things that were said, and I mean, these things weren't screened. I mean, they went live onto the show. There was absolutely no respect for anything. But I don't know. It was absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a shame.
But Alex, did you want to get going?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get going soon. Gotta make sure the little one's nice and tucked in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time flies.
I know.
Yeah. Okay, so let's give it another 8 more minutes, and then we'll hang it up.
Sure.
We'll hang it up. Yeah. Matt, tell everybody about your show, and I know people would love to hear about your show.
Well, I mean, I don't want to sort of really go into me and my stuff too much, but I mean, if anybody wants to go and have a look at the Secret Vault, it's all there. It's me getting chased by police, tripped up by security guards, outsmarting police and security guards, and then having the police come round and say, "Ha, we outsmarted you because now we're in your house stealing your stuff." So, yeah. Lots of good fun, basically.
But you go into some pretty cool places.
Yeah,
again, I noticed that you were in some pretty cool places there.
Yeah, we try to go places, that are a little bit different, so the urbex scene, urban exploration, and we try and use a boat, and we try and climb, and we've got ladders and things, so we go places that a lot of people, think it would be unwise to go, but yeah, I'm just out to have some fun times and explore some interesting stuff and bring people along on the way. And Gareth was interested in doing some of this urbex stuff. He said, if we ever meet, you'll have to take me on an urbex. And I said, oh yeah, I've got some urbexes for you. I'm gonna show you some things. You'll be scared or excited. It's gonna be good. And he's like, yeah, that's what I want. Next time I come over, I'm definitely taking some time out, to kind of get some of this stuff. And I said, oh yeah, we got some special ones ready for you. Don't worry. So yeah, he was up for that, and it's exciting. It's kind of like an adrenaline buzz, and I like interesting locations. Some of them aren't an adrenaline buzz; they're just really something to take in visually and everything else. But yeah, I was going to say just before. Well, thank you everybody as well who has sent into this donation fund. Last time I looked, it's running at about £420. So that's going to buy a big set of flowers. But I kind of said to people, do you think this is kind of getting to the point where you don't want to spend £400 on flowers? We are going to send a lot of this money to the family and just say, use this however, and because I mean, I don't think Gareth would probably want us to spend £420 on flowers.
Yeah, guys. If you're listening, please, if you can donate a few dollars, whatever. Send it all to Matt there. It's me at thematthew.com.
Williams.
Oh, sorry,
yeah,
Matt. The Matthew Williams.com.
And it's 2 T's in Matthew.
Yeah. Guys, if you can spare some change, please. It's obviously for a great reason, to help out Gareth's family there and whatnot. This is, oh man.
Yeah. And I think Percy said that he's going to try and look into what the situation is with the funeral. So we'll try and get some details to people who've been asking, because some people want to send cards and flowers direct to themselves. Okay. So that usually can be done through the funeral directors, as I believe. And so people, if they get the address of the funeral directors, they can send things there, and then they will get taken to the funeral. Also, the possibility, which I was interested in, because we do this a lot in the UK, they televise across the internet the service. So hopefully we'll all be able to kind of watch the service and take part in that. If not, Percy has said that with the family's permission, if they feel it, is appropriate, that he could stream it if they don't have the service to do that. Yeah. So Percy's looking into this.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome because, man, there's so many fucking people out there that fucking love Gareth, that loved him. I'm blown away with the amount of people that he's touched, man. It's just amazing. Like I most of the time just a handful of people, but between the mindset group there, the little messenger group, and all these people making these videos, the video tributes and goodbyes to Gareth. It's just amazing, man. And guys, please stay in touch. I mean, I absolutely, Ben, let me know about your show and what you guys are doing, and you, Matt, as well. Because you guys are always welcome here. When something's up, we would love. I know there's a huge time difference, but if you guys are up to it, we'd love to have you guys on.
Oh, I'd be glad to. I'd be honored. I mean, I used to appear quite regularly on Timothy Beckley and Timothy Schwartz's show, and that was Pacific time. It was about the same time as day as it is now. So he's another one who's left us. Tim Beckley's gone as well.
Wow.
But yeah,
and I had no idea. That guy's a legend.
He's gone. I'm afraid he passed away. Yeah,
he wrote them. I know he wrote those Matrix documents.
Yeah, it's incredible. Do you know?
Allegedly.
We lost. Well, as Dela said it, the team on the other side is growing big. We've got like David, her husband, passed away. Yeah. Also, Ian R. Crane, we lost about a few months ago. Yeah. Another guy I was really fond of. I mean, I didn't speak to him as often as I did Gareth, but I still was. He was a good friend. I don't know. It's like it does feel almost like some kind of exodus.
Yeah. Did you know Margaret Fry, Welsh independent ufologists? Welsh Federation
Margaret Fry died? She died?
Margaret Fry has passed away. The funeral will be quite soon.
Oh, she wrote such a good book. I'm sorry to hear that. She wrote a great book. Linked to the Stars, an excellent book.
I think myself, Timothy Good, UFO author, and quite a few well-known ufologists have slept on her settee at some time in the past.
I know Scott Felton was very close to her. Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that, Matthew. I really am.
Yeah.
I never met her, spoke to her, but I was a big fan of hers.
Mm.
Yeah, definitely.
Jeff C also passed. The live mentions Jeff C.
Oh, yeah.
Jeff C.
I don't know.
What did Jeff C do?
I have no idea. Who? I don't know.
I know the Hellier, the defense secretary, he passed away.
He passed away.
And
you know what? You know what kills me about that? There was little, next to nothing about him passing away.
In the mainstream, nothing.
Nothing. Here is a former defense minister of Canada, and nothing is mentioned. Nothing. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
big proponent of the UFO subject, and freedom of information on the UFOs, and maybe that's why he didn't get a big send off, because they don't like people who talk about UFOs sometimes.
Could be that. I mean, that surprised me, Steve. It really did, because he was a Queen's Council member, the highest chamber, in the government and everything. He was like record-breaking builder of aircraft and things like that. And
well, he changed a lot of things in the Parliament as well when he was a part of when he was a politician as well. So, I mean, it's sad that somebody of his stature and he basically went away quietly. Sad.
Yeah, deserved a bigger send off for sure.
Yeah. But the UFO community gave him a send off. But
yeah. Well, when I saw that, who was it? Oh, your post, Ben, and I'm like, what? I haven't seen anything on this. He passed away, and I'm looking and I can't find anything. And then, of course, it was mentioned on his Facebook group, right on his Facebook page, and I'm like, wow, this is sad, man. I mean, this guy had done so much, and nothing's mentioned in the mainstream media at all. Nothing.
No obituaries, nothing. No. You normally get a journalist to write a little piece about him,
Nothing. I couldn't find anything.
That's shocking.
Couldn't. I want to thank you guys for coming on. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Like we've said, Mindset Central, the community guys, stick together.
Yeah.
Stay together and keep Gareth alive. Do it as best as you can. I mean, I know there's going to be some hurdles and everything else, but guys, stick together. You guys are a great bunch of people. I've met quite a lot of people through Gareth that wow, it's just been great. And tonight with you, Ben, and with you, Matt, thank you guys for being a part of this. And Dela, thank you for her your words, your thoughts on Gareth and so on and so on. Justin, thank you, buddy.
Yeah, thank you.
Justin's been a regular of the show, God, since we began 2008, I think.
Yeah. Good old Blog Talk till now.
Exactly.
I just want to leave something. I think one of my favorite phrases from Gareth, and I think if you haven't caught Mindset at all, you haven't caught any of the Midnight Howls or the Monday Morning Podcasts, I think this is one of my favorite lines from Gareth. What are you, a fucking retard?
On that, please, Alex, play the promo, please.
Will do right now.
Oh yeah.
Play it.
Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be around this wild, wacky, and sometimes disturbing world of ours. Yes, that's the intro to the Mindset Podcast, a weekly attempt to open eyes and shedding light on what's really going on in the world, all done by ripping apart the media madness that masquerades as news. Join me, Gareth Davies, every Sunday on the Mindset Podcast. You can find the show on all major podcasting services such as iTunes, Stitcher, and so on. Or you can go directly to the main Mindset website. That's www.mindsetcentral.com. Check out the Mindset Podcast. Bring your curiosity, your opinions, and a sense of humor. And remember that some worldviews are stranger than others.
Oh, man.
I'm going to miss that.
Yeah.
I'm going to miss that very much. Yeah.
Rest in peace, my friend. Rest in peace. Until we all see you again, brother. This is hard, man. It just is. And
we could go for 8 hours and get drunk if you want.
I'd love to. I'm up for it. I know Alex can't. Can we do a show? Let's do a show.
Take over the streaming duties.
What's that?
Take over the streaming duties. You can go on as long as you want.
How am I going to take it over? You got it.
Yeah.
You need to do a training session, Alex.
Yeah, I got to do a training session.
Oh, man. Yeah, you know what? You guys are great. Thank you. Thank everybody in chat for their thoughts and everything, memories, and Gareth. And oh man, this sucks. Take care, everyone. Take care.
Have a good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Goodbye.